Hello, Hillendale. It's time to explore the amazing environment right outside of Hillendale Elementary School's walls. Let's start by observing a collection of photos, and as you're watching, think about what all of the photos have in common. So, relax, watch, and do a little thinking. Okay, I'm going to talk a bit. I hope that doesn't distract you too much from your thinking, but I think you can listen and watch the photos at the same time. You are supposed to be thinking about what all of these photos have in common. Let me start with an easy one. All of the photos were taken outside. I hope you got that one. All of the photos were taken during the daylight hours. There's another thing that they have in common. All taken outside during the day. Two things in common. Are you 2 for 2 so far? Let's continue. The next thing all the photos have in common is really not very obvious. All of the photos were taken by me. Yes, me. Who's me? Oh, that's right. I never did introduce myself. But I bet some of you know who me is. If you didn't recognize the voice, it is me, Mr. Claypool. I was lucky to teach at Hillendale Elementary School for over 30 years and get to know thousands of amazing kids. I am also lucky that I still get to come back and visit Hillendale. So, you know who me is. There is one more very important thing that all of the photos have in common. You know what that is? All of the photos were taken right here at Hillendale Elementary School, right outside of our school. That's pretty amazing. We have an amazing environment right on our own Hillendale property. Our job is to learn as much about our environment here at Hillendale as we can. I'm going to let you watch a few more pictures, and then I'm going to share a few things about the outside of our school. Okay, there are no dinosaurs roaming the property here at Hillendale, but I just wanted to see if you were still awake. So I hope you caught that quickly. Let's take a look at Hillendale on the outside from a little different perspective. Using the Hillendale drone during the winter of 2018, we get to see an aerial view of the large expanse of the Hillendale Elementary School roof, parking areas, and hardtop playground. The roof, parking areas, and hardtop playground are impervious surfaces that absorb very little rainwater. An average rainstorm of about 1 inch on our school's roof produces approximately 50,000 gallons of stormwater runoff. This is enough water to fill 2 large swimming pools. Let's take a quick walk together on the roof of Hillendale Elementary School during an average rainstorm. I hope you have your umbrella with you. Notice all of the water that is ponding and pooling on top We're walking toward one of the roof drains that allow the water to drain off of the roof. This is just an average rainstorm. It's amazing the amount of water that collects on the roof and will then drain off onto our Hillendale property. This water draining from our roof is called stormwater runoff. This water draining from our Hillendale roof is called stormwater runoff. Stormwater runoff from a roof, driveway, parking lot, street, or field is an environmental problem. Stormwater runoff is a major source of erosion and water pollution. As the water runs along a surface, it picks up litter, oil, chemicals, fertilizers, and other toxic substances. Stormwater runoff can damage an entire ecosystem. Our stormwater management system attempts to slow the flow of the runoff from the roof, parking lots, and playground areas. Below, you can see the rain gardens and biodetention basins that help collect the runoff from our roof and parking areas. The rain gardens are labeled A and B, the basins C, D, and E. The biodetention basins and rain gardens are designed to collect stormwater runoff and slowly release it at a controlled rate. Detention basins and rain gardens allow the soil to absorb runoff, reduce erosion, filter pollutants, control flooding, and provide biodiversity. Biodetention basins and rain gardens are landscaped with native plants that have large root systems to absorb as much runoff as possible. The stormwater runoff that is not absorbed by the basins and rain gardens leaves the final biodetention basin through a cement headwall that was part of the original Hillendale stormwater system. The stormwater runoff drains through an 18-inch pipe and travels underground for over 100 yards towards the large extended detention dry basin. We are now following the path of the water towards the large basin at the lower end of the Hillendale property. As you look below, you can see the large extended detention dry basin outlined in yellow labeled F. This detention basin is designed to collect the outflow from the 4 centrally located biodetention basins. This significantly larger basin can limit downstream erosion and control some pollutants. This large detention basin is necessary to slow down runoff that our rain gardens and biodetention basins could not handle. During an average rainstorm at Hillendale, our property can create well over 100,000 gallons of stormwater runoff. A major storm event could produce upwards of 500,000 gallons. Stormwater runoff that collects in the large detention basin drains slowly through the outflow control structure to the final outflow area. Here's another look of stormwater runoff draining off of our fields on the back playground. That stormwater runoff will drain off of the fields and collect in the large detention basin that you're looking at right now. You can see there is water ponding in the large detention basin even during an average rainstorm. This is water that is entering the large detention basin from the smaller detention basins that are closer to the school. Below, you can see the final outflow area outlined in red. You can also see our wastewater management system, which is not part of our stormwater system. This is the end of the line for Hillendale's stormwater management system. Drainage water from the extended detention basin reaches the final outflow and is dispersed through a rocky substrate. The water travels down a long hill planted with a special seed mixture and willow shrubs. Upon completion of its journey down the hill, the drainage water enters a rivulet which is a very small stream that runs parallel to Hickory Hill Road. This rivulet carries our remaining stormwater into the Craigs Mill Run stream, a tributary of the Brandywine Creek. If stormwater runoff is not controlled, it can cause major erosion problems and carry pollutants into nearby streams and creeks. To prevent this from happening on our Hillendale property, we created a mini wetlands ecosystem. Wetlands ecosystems are biologically diverse systems that improve the water quality, they control erosion, they maintain stream flows, they hold carbon in the soil, and wetlands ecosystems provide a home to many different organisms. Wetlands are important because they improve water quality and at the same time provide wildlife habitat. Our mini wetlands ecosystem, which controls our stormwater runoff, does a great job in preventing erosion and also filtering pollutants. Let's take a look at two more ecosystems that were created here at Hillendale. What you're looking at in the center of the image is our Hillendale Meadow, surrounded by our Hillendale Woods, a young forest habitat that was planted back in October of 2013. Let's talk more about our Hillendale Meadow ecosystem. The Hillendale Meadow provides a habitat of native flowers and grasses to support our local pollinators. In addition to supporting native bees and honeybees, many of the native flowering plants used in the Hillendale Meadow ecosystem will also attract nectar-seeking butterflies, moths, and hummingbirds, and some are host plants for butterfly and moth caterpillars. Growing the right flowers, shrubs, and trees with overlapping bloom times supports pollinators from spring through fall. By adding native plants to our landscape that provide food and shelter for pollinators throughout their active seasons, and by adopting pollinator-friendly landscape practices, we can make a difference to both the pollinators and the people who rely on them. Those people are us. Let's check out how our meadow was created. Our Hillendale drone is a few hundred feet above Hillendale's new meadow site. It is a warm Monday in May 2018. The meadow has already been seeded with native grasses, and our Hillendale students are in the process of planting approximately 4,000 native flower plugs. Students were buddied up and given instructions on how to prepare the hole, roughen the plant's root ball, compress the soil around the roots, and then water and mulch the plants. Our Hillendale kids planted 27 different varieties of native flowers suitable for our Hillendale Meadow environment. This is year one of our new meadow. It takes a minimum of 3 years for a meadow to fully establish itself. We have more work to do, but we're off to a good start. Our Hillendale Meadow is our environmental effort to help the local pollinators and birds in our front yard. Let's take a quick look at some of the kids who actually did the planting. Do you recognize any of those kids? I do. Now we are getting a chance to see the meadow from a drone's eye view 3 years after it was planted. What an amazing difference. Here it is in May of 2018. The 350 trees surrounding the meadow were planted in October of 2013. Now look at them in June of 2021. The grasses and flowers of the meadow have really established themselves, and the trees have taken off. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like in 3 years from now. A wise friend of mine says that with plants, the first year they crawl, the second year they walk, and the third year they run. Our plants are certainly running now. We are very fortunate to have a school that has so many amazing natural things surrounding it. Hillendale has examples of 4 different ecosystems right on its property. You are watching me walk through one of those ecosystems. I am walking along Hillendale's woodland path, an extension of the Hillendale Trail. It is a favorite of both mine and my 2 dogs, Angie and Bo. There are many different animals that live in our woodlands ecosystem, and Angie and Bo enjoy sniffing the different scents. Woodlands ecosystems are transition zones between different ecosystems, such as meadows, forests, and deserts. Our woodland path goes through a woodlands ecosystem that is a connection between our back fields, which is a type of grassland ecosystem, and the forest ecosystem that we have on our property. Woodlands are a low-density forested area with plenty of sunlight and limited shade. Woodlands form a more open habitat than a forest. Woodlands have an understory of shrubs and herbaceous plants, including grasses. I truly hope you appreciate what we have here at Hillendale, and I hope you get outside and explore the meadow ecosystem, our wetland basins ecosystem, our young forest ecosystem, and our woodlands ecosystem. While you are outside, you may want to swing by our pond for another example of a mini wetlands ecosystem. While you are there, please say hi to the frogs and fish for me. Well, I hope to meet you outside exploring Hillendale's amazing environment. Bye for now.